YouTube, what the crap's going on? HeirofCarthage here, back in Total War Warhammer, where we're going to jump into another battle. This one is going to be Dwarves versus Greenskins for an awesome Grudge match. We've got the Dwarf army here. Let's take a look at it. I'm seeing some Rangers, 2 units there. On the other side, I'm seeing some Thunderers. Yeah, so 2 Thunderers on the other flank. Forward deployed here is the Goblobber and some Miners. And then let's take a look at the dwarf formation here. So warriors with great weapons, 2 warriors, another warrior, Longbeards, and another thunder. So that's 3 thunderers through there. There's another warrior with great weapons, Grumbling Guard, Ulthar's Raiders, and some more miners. And then let's take a look at the dwarf lord, which is just a lord, and we've got a runesmith. So a lot of dwarf units on the battlefield, and they're up against the Greenskins. Greenskins here rolling with some Boar Boy Biggins, Black Orcs, Orc Biggins, Savage Orcs, Goblin Big Boss, more Savage Orcs. So there's a considerable number of Savage Orcs, and they are a pretty tough unit now that they've got some extra physical resistance. An Orc Shaman, which is interesting. I wonder if Foot of Gork works well on the dwarves, I'm not sure. The Rusty Heirs with some Goblin Archers, and the Rusty Heirs pulling down the armor, and then the Goblin Archers attacking could be interesting, but the dwarves still have shields. Another Biggin, Boar Biggin, Black Orc, and a Squig Herd. And the Greenskins are led by, well, let's go out over here. Whoa, they got a Azag the Slaughterer, not just a war boss. It's Azag the Slaughterer on Skullmuncha. So talk about a pretty cool unit to wind up with. What is that? Oh, it's just armor on the other side. It looked like a second face. That was pretty cool. So let's check out the spells on Azag. Looks like he's got Spirit Leech. Let's see. So he's got Life Leeching, Aspect of Dread Knight. So Terror, Spirit Leech, Soul Blight, and Fate of Buna. Interesting. So it looks like the dwarves really trying to take up a defensive geometry back up here on the hill. Let's see what Azag does. He's just kind of flying around scouting. We'll see whether or not yeah, the Rangers and the Thunders, I'm going to be surprised if they don't try and get some shots on him. I mean, he's got to be careful. I'm going to fast forward just a bit because there's still a lot of ground to cover. See, Azag manages to stay out of the arc of fire for a while. Looks like he kind of close here to some of the Rangers. He doesn't have a ton of armor. I mean, he's fairly well armored. Goblobbers opening fire on the Boar Boys, and the dwarf player is going to sit back and try and make biggest use of their artillery and skirmishers and what the terrain can provide them to go up against the Greenskins. So Rangers pushing on Azag. And let's see, the Greenskins, as far as their attack line, they got Black Orcs on the flank. It's an interesting choice. And then Savage Orcs down the center. Looks like the Boar Biggins maybe trying to come in from the flank, Boar Biggins and Squids, and maybe trying to break through to that next level. They were going really slow though, and they get caught by some dwarf warriors with great weapons. I hear a Fate of Buna, and it's going to hit this Grumbling Guard, so that's actually a pretty solid choice. It's going to do a lot of damage to him. The dwarves do have 20% magic resistance, but it'll still do a considerable amount of damage. The Goblin Big Boss looks like he's going to come in and try and silence some of the Thunderers. Fate of Buna uses quite a bit of magic. I think it's 13 magic, but taking the Grumbling Guard down halfway is a nice cause. But there's an Orc Shaman along with Azag, and he does have, he doesn't have the foot. He's just got Here We Go, I think. So maybe hoping to buff the Savage Orcs enough to get through. It's like the Rangers over here getting attacked. There's other Boar Boys making their way through. The Squigs are getting a hold of these Dwarf Warriors and doing quite well. Rusty Heirs and the Gobbo Archers trying to fire on into the Thunderers, but you can see the shields on the Thunderers make that a pretty tough prospect. The Ulthar's Raiders are about to get attacked by Boar Biggins. I mean, they're just charging really awkwardly here. There they go. And let's see where Azag's at. Azag is back up in the air. He's in pretty good health. These Boar Boys getting torn up a little. And the Squigs making their way over here. Maybe trying to put pressure on the Quarrelers. Or the Rangers, sorry, my bad. The Rusty Heirs got taken out really quickly. Azag has dropped down on the skirmishers. The skirmishers trying to unload on Azag. Wonder if he could get another Fate of Buna off on some of these key units. I would watch out for these Ulthar's Raiders. Yep. So the Grumbling Guard takes another... No, it's the Ulthar's Raiders who take the Fate of Buna. That'll actually probably take them off the battlefield. They're definitely a threat to Azag because they use some of their abilities and other stuff. Look at that, though. The Grudge Thrower just hammering away at the Rusty Arrows, and a great choice by the Dwarves. Definitely want that unit off the battlefield. And I'm assuming Azag causes terror, which won't work on Longbeards or anything, but it could definitely work on, yep, see Terrified there. It worked on the Dwarf Warriors. So the Greenskin player making some inroads, but still quite a few Dawi left here. Black Orcs being supported by Orc Biggins over here. And let's see, the Black Orcs on this flank still fairly healthy. The Skirmishers are going to be the potential game changer here. The Gobbo Archers coming back from routing. We're going to see if they can get any work done. They'll do better versus the Rangers. Ooh, Azag taking some nasty damage here. If he gets caught by the... Oh, yeah, he's going to get caught by the Lord. If he can get out of there, that'd be brilliant for Azag. Gobbo Big Boss is in here fighting. Yeah, the Greenskins definitely cannot afford to lose their leadership here. The Wa was used there. I don't know which other units it affected. I think it just affects the units around him. Yeah, it does. He's got to get away from the skirmisher fire here, though. The dwarves are just whittling away at Azag, and they've got to get him away. But there's nothing left to really deal with the skirmishers other than infantry. So I think the dwarves are in a good position here. The Ulthar's Raiders actually came back, and the Grumbling Guard's still there. Looks like this Biggin's going to be dispatched to take out the Grudge Thrower, which has 109 kills. Over here, the Greenskins broke through. The Black Orcs are in decent health. The challenge they're going to have is how many Thunderers are left. The more that these archers can do to help get rid of the Thunderers, the better. The Dwarf Runesmith and Lord is going to be very difficult to deal with as well. They're taking down the Goblin Big Boss right now. I hear another Fate of unit, and it's going to go on the Grumbling Guard. So once again, I think that's a solid choice. The Grumbling Guard's a key unit. It keeps others fresh around it. And it looks like it's going to be attacked in force. Those Ulthar's Raiders. Yeah, let's see, going after the... I mean, it's a fairly close battle, but I mean, it is in favor of the... It's in favor of the dwarves for sure. The Grumbling Guard actually survived that Fate of unit, and then Azag is taking some nasty volleys here from these Thunders. Grumbling Guard is wavering, and the Dwarf Lord, if he can... Ooh, yeah, if he's landing hits here on Azag, it is bad for Azag. He needs to stay the heck away from this Dwarf Lord. Soul Blight was used, just taking away some weapon damage and stuff, but it's just not going to matter. Azag can't afford to take these hits right now. He's down to only 169 health. He actually took that last hit from the Dwarf Lord. Black Orc's still very much alive. Biggin's alive, and they've pushed away a lot of the dwarf units back here, but there are still some skirmishers, and there are still two dwarf heroes here, the Lord and the Runesmith. And Black Orcs could do fairly well against those units, but they're going to have to get these other dwarf units off the battlefield, and Azag is going to have to survive. He is wavering right now. If he routs, the Greenskins are in very, very dire shape. He's going to drop on these Thunderers. Definitely the right choice, but he routed right when he dived on the Thunderers. Wow. If the Thunderers just put a shot on him now, he may not come back. That was really unfortunate for the Greenskin player. I don't see how he pulls this one off at this point because the army losses and the leadership are going to turn against him really quickly. And the dwarves have a lot of units that came back. The Goblobbers back, these Dwarf Warriors, the Ulthar's Raiders. A lot of the dwarf units are going to go off the battlefield back here, which is great for the Greenskin player, but he's a little bit scattered at the moment. These Boar Boy Biggins that were regrouped actually could have been pretty handy, maybe, if they got into the right spot. These Thunderers are going to be brutally effective at this point in the game. So the battlefield's like all split up. There's still about 4 minutes left. Azag came back at like the very edge of the map. He doesn't have anything to heal. It's not that I'm aware of. Yeah, these black orcs taking fire from these thunders, that is terrible. Terrible for the greenskins, for sure. Gobbo archers being chased by the runesmith, but this does leave some of the dwarf units over here somewhat exposed. It looks like the greenskin's gonna make a run into the woods to try and avoid some of the dwarf skirmish fire and maybe regroup here. And it looks like the dwarves are regrouping as well. The goblobber actually has a couple of shots left, up to 120 kills now. So Azag is flying around, and he is wavering. Yeah, ooh, the goblobber put a shot near him. It didn't apply the penalty, though, or else he would have definitely routed. So Azag is in very, very bad shape. He's done a pretty good job in this battle, though, I think. He's made a few mistakes around some of the dwarf skirmishers. And really, the greenskins need to find a way to attack that's not going to lead them straight into the waiting hands of these thunders, because those 29 thunders are going to be able to severely damage the greenskin morale. And they're also going to be able to keep Azag back to where it's going to be hard for him to use spells, if he has enough magic to use a spell. I just don't see how the greenskins are going to chew their way through a lord and a runesmith, and that would explain Rune of Wrath and Ruin here on some Savage Orcs. That was a great call. So now those guys aren't coming back. Oh, Azag strays just a little too close. And that's it. He's shattered. That has got to be game over for the greenskins. These guys are tired. They're going to be demoralized, and I don't think that they survive another assault on what's left of the Dawi here, especially since the Dawi have their lord and their runesmith to help support leadership. This will almost certainly be the end. The greenskins. Black orcs, I mean, fairly solid leadership. Nah, these ones ran off, so it's just a matter of time. There we go. Black orcs are not unbreakable. They are pretty strong in terms of leadership, but most definitely not unbreakable. Nice game, fun game. Seeing the greenskins assault the dwarf position there. They got a lot of kills, but there was also a lot of dwarfs on the battlefield, and that goblobber really racked up the kills. The Thunders didn't get a ton of kills, but their constant pressure on Azag was actually pretty useful. Pretty fun seeing the squig herd being used there, but these boar boy biggins just it did not end up panning out. Almost wonder if squigs are maybe a better pick versus the dwarves because they're anti-armor and they're cheaper. You could get like almost 2 of them for the cost of these guys. So I don't know, maybe more squigs would be a solid choice. Now squigs are a lot squishier in terms of leadership, but you can get more of them and they do decent damage against armor, which can be quite useful. Whereas the boar boys they seem like they're easy targets. Look at that, even though the Gremlin Guard took 2 Fate units, it still racked up 58 kills. Give you an idea just how tough that type of unit is. So fun battle. Appreciate Hazard and Hellfell for participating here and giving us something fun to watch. If you liked the video, make sure to click my logo down in the bottom right. It'll keep you up to date with the most, or it'll keep you up to date with the latest content. You can set up those notifications and know as soon as the videos are out. And I will be making you videos daily, as my job and life allows. I love making this stuff for you. I really appreciate you being here. I appreciate MSI sponsoring the channel and helping me out. HeirofCarthage signing out for now, and I will see you all on the battlefields of Warhammer soon.